Welcome back to Bedhaven, the safe place for safe plays. Back after the FedEx St. Jude Championship, where Hideki just almost blew it, but then he didn't blow it.
Yeah, I don't know how you say choke in Japanese, but that's basically what he did. And then he saved it. Yeah.
He choked and then he clutched up. So I guess you can't really say he choked. He was having a tough time swallowing it and then hit himself with the Heimlich maneuver.
Yeah, he was in shambles. I mean, you got the rules official came up to him and told him about a potential rules violation, but basically said like, "No, you're good," which
Did you see the
I don't really understand the point of that.
Did you see the thing? Did you see the whole thing that like took place?
I did, yes.
Yeah. How did you feel about them even approaching him about a potential rule?
That's what I'm saying. I don't see the point in it. If you've looked at it and decided that it's not a penalty, then don't bother me. I don't want to even hear from you.
Yeah, I think that absolutely rattled him.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely did. The fact that he was totally fine up to that point. He was making no mistakes. He wasn't like necessarily going off, but he's
just maintaining. Yeah, that's all he had to do with a 5-shot lead.
That's all he had to do, and he was doing that perfectly. And then, yeah, a little ball mark. It's one of those rules where it's kind of weird. It can definitely apply in certain situations. I didn't feel like it was nothing malicious there intent wise. He just was keeping care of the course really. And yeah, glad they didn't penalize him. Hate that they did talk to him and kind of rattled him. I didn't have anything on him, so I don't really have a dog in the fight here, but I guess at the end, kind of happy to see him win and like not fully blow it, even though I didn't have anything on him.
See, and that's the problem. So I've bet Hideki 3 times. I went back and looked. 3 times this season I've bet him, most recently at the Olympics. So essentially his last tournament that he played in, I had a bet on him. And I told myself this week it was going to be more about like picking my spots, because in the reduced field and kind of there's more narratives involved with, FedEx standings and that. I just didn't really do anything as far as outright tickets go. I had 40% of him on DraftKings, so that's where a majority of my Hideki ownership was. But yeah, it was kind of unfortunate to sit there and watch this dude do exactly what I wanted him to do in all the other tournaments that I had bet him on. But yeah, I think it was weird to see the rules official thing. But yeah, he absolutely started to give it away, and then you saw guys kind of, Xander made a little charge. Victor obviously made his charge. And then for Victor to miss that putt on 18, it didn't end up mattering, but I thought he was going to cash it. I thought, you've done the hard part here. You've got I think it was a 9 feet 9-inch putt. And he had been making putts for the most part. So
yeah, Victor was shocking to see. I mean,
everybody's in there and their mother is, Victor's so bad. He's bad. It's like, yeah, he had a great tournament and he kind of corrected a lot of things he's been struggling with, but I'm not ready to say like he's fully back. But
yeah, we can get into that later, but I'm not fully ready either. But yeah, he had a great tournament. It definitely clicked for the most part. And yeah, there was several guys that at the end had a chance to win. I mean, Xander from nowhere all of a sudden had a chance.
Mm-hmm.
Scotty at the end somehow ended up having a chance after not really doing much, and looked like he was almost struggling. I mean, struggling for him,
right?
Like throughout the tournament, especially kind of the last round there, he ends up shooting 4 under, but it looked like he was miserable. Like, I can't make anything. What the hell? Why did it break that way? And it's like, in the end, he was still right there. If he birdies 17, maybe birdies 18, could end up in a playoff or something. Something weird could have happened. You never know if Matsuyama actually birdies 18 if Scotty or Xander, Xander almost chipped in on 18.
I don't know how that didn't go in.
So yeah, Matsuyama wins in the end, probably the deserving winner, but that could have gone a lot of different ways there at the end for sure.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned Scotty, because I just feel like I saw way more like visible frustration out of him than I've seen in any tournament so far this year, any tournament that we saw last year. Like he, there was a bunker shot he hit, and I'm sure every single media source has posted it at this point, but he hits a bunker shot and he just slams his club immediately.
Which is insane, because that happens
Oh
Like
yeah, people do that
every
all the
single
time.
day
Yeah,
that happens on the golf course.
right.
Even the pros, I've seen it countless times. It happens all the time. But
It's a frustrating game, and
but
yeah.
him doing it is so out of character. But you know what? Good. I want to see some emotion out of this guy. And
Well, he had the comments before the tournament even started about they asked him about the season long race to the the FedEx Cup, and he's like, well, it's not really a season long race if I don't win. If I win all of these tournaments and don't win this, I don't win the season. And
which he's got a
I've
case
seen
for
a
that.
ton of like response to that,
He's
but
got a case for that. I don't know if I love him talking about that outwardly, but I agree with him.
yeah,
And I think that there will probably be a change, unfortunately slash fortunately, at the end of the year, because I do actually kind of like the final tournament. I'm sure there's mixed feelings. People have different opinions about that, but I like that a guy who made the final 30 still kind of sort of has a chance. It's a lot easier to keep up with as a fan too,
yeah,
giving Scotty the 10 shots and then the 8 shots and down the board. I like it as a fan because it's a lot easier to keep up with. But yeah, it's probably not fair because he's dominated. Him and
yeah.
Xander have dominated. They should
Right.
be miles ahead. But they won't be when it comes
There'll
down
be a
to
couple
it.
shots.
But that's the way it is. That's the format of it, and he's gonna have to live with that. But yeah, they've been so dominant. As we get into the stats, I'll break it down. But yeah, these two guys are miles ahead of everybody right now.
Well, I think if you like adjust your settings, the strokes gain tee to green, I think Xander actually has jumped Scotty. If you narrow it down to a certain amount of rounds, maybe 16 rounds, you'll see.
So if he has now edged him out last 36 rounds in strokes gained total.
Total, okay.
So including putting, basically, is what the difference is there. But yeah, that's last 36. Xander is now slightly ahead of Scotty in strokes gained total at like 2.9 or something like that, and Scotty's like right behind, like 2.8. Tee to green is still Scotty by a mile. Last 24 rounds, Scotty tee to green is gaining 2.93 per round, and Xander is in second, gaining 1.91.
That's crazy.
So he's got a shot per round on him, tee to green.
Wow. All right. Well, there was a lot of interesting takeaways from this week. I think that course is it's crazy because that course is so volatile, but it's so gettable. If you can pick your moments where you want to attack and avoid the trouble, which there's plenty of it, then you can absolutely go out there and fire a ridiculous number. And you saw a ton of guys doing it. I think the final day you saw a couple guys shoot 7 under, like Eric Cole. Detry was 7 under at one point. He finished at 5. I think he had a tough hole down the stretch. And then just who else? Gracerman shot 7 under on the final. Just really, really scoreable track, but it was kind of fun to watch the carnage a little bit when it did ensue.
Yeah, I think it's a really good course. I think that the fact that you can have guys ranging from 11 over, now obviously the wheels fell off on those guys down there, but 11 over to 17 under ended up being the winning score. I think that's about right. Yeah, to see the scores kind of be all over the map, just scrolling here. I mean, Hideki shoots even to win, and Xander shot 7 under to finish second. So yeah, the scores all over the map. Obviously, the guys who were struggling, their struggles almost become magnified because it was a no-cut event. So, Homa, Spieth, Rory.
You just give up at some point.
Yeah, these guys that are in the back, they're really not caring to an extent, and that shows in some of these scores. They're either not caring or they're kind of broken. And I think, unfortunately,
I think it's a combination. I think there's a couple guys that are at the back of the pack that got to a certain point where okay, I'm literally not in this thing. I won't be in this thing. Let me just go through the motions and I'll figure it out on the range before next week starts or something like that.
I think, unfortunately, I think Max Homa is currently broken right now.
Yeah.
I think Jordan Spieth is also broken.
Well, he's planning the wrist surgery is going to happen, so we'll see if that can.
Hopefully that helps. Good news for me is that Jordan Spieth won't be playing this week, so I won't have to waste money on him, which will be great. Max Homa, I won't be going there either, but if he plays great, then good for him. I got no problem cheering for Max Homa, but I won't be putting $1 on him.
All right, well, let's get into this week. BMW Championship, Castle Rock, Colorado. Castle Pine Country Club, I believe it's Country Club. About 30 miles outside of Denver from what I'm hearing. 8,130 yards or 103 yards officially.
8,130
30
yards,
yards on the
par
scorecard.
72.
That is ridiculous. However, the elevation of this course is something 6,300 feet
Yeah.
above sea level there. So air is much thinner, and therefore the ball will travel about 10% further on every single shot. Um, you got guys like Wyndham Clark, who is a Colorado native. He's a big time name that people are kind of throwing around. Showed some form last week, but let's just jump into it. Same old thing that we always do here. We are going to switch it up this week now that they've narrowed it down to a field of 50. We're going to give you the first round leader. We're going to give you our favorite play. We're going to give you our projected winner, and then we're going to give you our DraftKings value play. So instead of the top 20 market this week, we are going to give you a projected winner, and instead of the top 40 that we typically have done, we did a DraftKings value play first time last week. So just a little bit of mix up here as we get down to the final couple of tournaments, and the fields are smaller, therefore the markets change a little bit. So we're just trying to give you the best information we can. So
Yeah, it's been good. I mean, DraftKings value play last week, I had Wyndham Clark, which was a great value pick. So hopefully we can keep that rolling. But I'll just jump into my round one leader this week. Key stats from me this week are going to be par 5 birdie or better percentage, because you're getting 4 par 5s this week. We haven't had 4 par 5s, it feels like, in a little bit. But we're getting 4 par 5s here this time. Driving distance. So even though it's a crazy long number, 8,130 yards is a super long number, there is some elevation change there, which will allow the ball to go further. But I still think, after looking at the course, that driving distance is going to be more important than accuracy. So I'm not really weighting accuracy this week. I haven't seen any. I'm sure we'll see some pictures and some interviews and stuff throughout the week that will help us kind of get a better idea of what the course actually is playing like. If somebody mentions something about the rough being long or something like that, then obviously, that will change my projections. But I'm going with driving distance. I'm going with strokes gained approach from 175 to 200, because I believe there's a lot of shots that will come from that range. Even par threes, there will be a lot of par threes between 175, 200, even 200 plus. But again, with the elevation, it's going to play more like a 200-yard shot. And then my final stat will be strokes gained approach in the last 24 rounds. So trying to get some recent form, trying to get somebody who's coming in playing well. So my round one leader is going to be Patrick Cantlay, 25 to 1. He's 9,800 on DraftKings. I don't know how much I'll be able to get to him on DraftKings, but I will try. I like him because he is 5th in this field in par 5 birdie or better. He is 12th in this field on approach last 24 rounds. And he's just been quietly good. He finished T12 last week. Gained almost across the board. Lost a little bit around the green, which I don't put too much stock into. Gained about a half a shot off the tee, half a shot on approach, and half a shot putting. That was his average per round. And lost just a little bit around the greens. This course is kind of a wild card this week, which I love, but I think Patrick Cantlay just quietly being around. I've seen Patrick Cantlay go bananas with the putter before. That's what you're going to need for round one leader. So give me Patrick Cantlay 25 to 1. I like that number too, considering there's like multiple guys in front of him on the board for round one leader, and I like his spike potential with the putter. So Patrick Cantlay.
I think he's like been in the mix for round one leader a handful of times.
Yeah,
I know
he was
there at the U.S. Open, I think.
Yes, he was. Yep.
So yeah, recency bias there tells me that's a good pick, and I did look at his stat profile for the St. Jude, and yeah, he's definitely starting to find something here, and he is a little bit priced up on DK at I think 9,700 is what I saw, 9,800.
He's 98. Like yeah, so he definitely is priced up, but his stat profile across the board is pretty fantastic, and yeah, I think he's due maybe. I mean, he's right there, but yeah, round one leader is where I'll probably play him. DraftKings, I'll try to get there, but top of the board is tough this week on DraftKings, so yeah, we'll see.
All right, well, I'm going to pick Colin Morikawa, first round leader. If you look at Colin's stat profile of what he did at St. Jude, you kind of there's some things to be concerned about. I think let's see here. If you pull it up, lost. This is all from Data Golf, so these are true strokes gained. 0.81 across the board or across the tournament on approach, losing 0.81, and then lost 0.37 across the tournament off the tee. Both of those things are by themselves a little bit kind of scary when you consider what Colin Morikawa is good at. That he's typically in the fairway and he's typically hitting strong iron shots. If you look what he did in round 4, he still lost on approach, but he finally gained a decent amount off the tee there at 0.99. I think what's going to happen, I've already seen footage of Colin. He's already in Colorado. He was on the range today. He's the type of guy that when he loses a little bit of who he is in a tournament, I feel like he's quick to figure it out. Seeing him struggle, it felt like every single time I saw him hit a drive on the coverage, it was in the rough behind a tree. Like he just couldn't really figure the driver out. If you look at who he is typically with the driver, he's a far better driver of the golf ball. I'm not weighing distance as much as you brought up. I do want somebody who, in the total driving category, there is a stat that you can find for that. I want somebody a little bit more in line with that versus just pure distance. I think accuracy is going to take. There are penalty areas out here. Water comes into play on several holes. A lot of sand. I think 77 bunkers is what I saw. So you still want to be an accurate driver, but a good driver of the golf ball is something I'm a little bit more focused on. So Colin Morikawa at 20-1. I don't think I'll have a ton of exposure to him elsewhere, but I feel like he could kind of figure some of the things out that he had go wrong in Memphis, and then we could see him spike in round 1.
Yeah, as far as the driving thing goes, I mean, like I said, we will see. I will definitely be looking for interviews and stuff like that on these guys, talking about course conditions and how tough is this rough going to be. I'm aware, there definitely is some water around the fairways, around the greens too. But I guess we'll see. It's going to be a wait and see for me as far as what I'm weighing more. But for now, it will be distance, and we shall see. But yeah, Colin Morikawa, I don't know. He kind of screwed me last week. I had a lot of.
I feel like you've been picking him a lot lately, and he hasn't really done anything for you. So I could understand the hesitance there.
Yeah, I mean he's last 4, 4th, 16th, 24th, 22nd. He's still gaining across the board. I don't know. He's 10,100, which has kind of been what feels like he's been that price for a long time now. But he just continues to put up kind of okay-ish results. But the reason I'll probably be out this week, and he'll of course probably just go bananas, it is because of the approach. The thing that's kept me on him has been the approach has been pretty great, and this week just losing basically every day on approach is concerning to me. But now that I've spoke that out loud,
to me, I think that, and I kind of, you're going to hear me say this a lot about all of the picks that I've got. I'm looking at guys that did other things well, and the thing that they're typically good at maybe struggled with a bit, and I feel like you're just going to see a flip. I mean, it's the same strategy I took with Denny McCarthy, who was my DraftKings value play. He had struggled with the putter over recent rounds, and he started to show me signs that he was doing the other stuff well. I'm going to take that same exact strategy and apply it to this week, and I think Colin is a sort of a model example of that. Losing on approach and gaining in almost every other category is something that I can jump on board with.
Yeah, I could see it. I've been on him, and he just hasn't done it. So maybe if you jump on him, he'll figure it out.
Yep.
All right, let's go into favorite play. My favorite play this week is Tony Finau. 33-1 to win the golf tournament. I will make that bet. It probably will be, I don't know. We'll see. It might be my only win bet because the other guys that I like, their numbers it doesn't make any sense, or they're like crazy long shots. So Tony Finau, 33-1, 9,700 on DraftKings. He fits my stat profile like to a T. He is third in approach in this field in the last 24 rounds, which I found to be shocking because he hasn't really jumped off the page with the irons, but He's third behind Scotty and Xander. He is fourth in this field in par 5 birdie or better percentage. Again, getting 4 of those this tournament, where we've been getting a lot of tournaments where there's only 2 recently. And then he is sixth in distance in this field. Tony Finau, another reason that I love him. We're playing this course at elevation, and elevation golf is different. You have to calculate your yardages, and you have to have a really good feel for your yardages on your approach shots. Like we said, there are many water hazards and bunkers and stuff around the greens. You better be really good with your distance control around the greens or into the greens. Tony Finau lives in Utah. He plays elevation golf all the time.
Mm-hmm.
There's not that many guys in this field that play elevation golf all the time.
Right.
I went and looked, especially this top 50. I went and looked down the board to try and find somebody. The only people I can really find is Tony Finau and Wyndham Clark.
Mm-hmm.
And we could kind of argue JT Poston. But he played, North Carolina Mountains golf. There was definitely elevation change. Now, I don't know how much the ball flew further, maybe a little bit, but,
We'll talk about that.
We'll get into that. But Tony Finau, he just fits the mold so perfectly for this week. 9,700 on DraftKings. I will try to get to as much of him as I can on DraftKings, but we'll see because, again, the top of the board is very tricky this week. Last week, he pretty much gained across the board except for off the tee. He was probably a little bit below what he normally is off the tee, but not a concerning amount for me, losing half a shot per round off the tee. But we're gaining more than half a shot on approach, gaining around the green, and a 0 putter. Just a lot to like for me for Tony. I will bet the upside, and I think 33-1 is a fantastic number in a super small field at a golfer that is comfortable playing elevation golf. That's kind of my edge this week. I'm going with the elevation golf. He's comfortable with it. He knows his distances at elevation, and hopefully he can, we've seen Tony go bananas, and hopefully he can do that this week. So Tony Finau is my favorite play this week.
Yeah, I was obviously in Utah not that long ago. Drove through the area where he's from. He's from Lehigh. Well, not from there, but it lives there. And yeah, I think the elevation in Lehigh, Utah is about 4,400 feet. So obviously it's not exactly the same, but it's pretty damn close. And I'm sure a lot of courses in that area are at much higher elevation than that anyway. So
Yep.
I know he's broken a course record twice not broken it twice, but, or maybe, yeah, no, he broke his own record at Victory Ranch. So I would be curious to know what the course elevation is there. But either way, yeah, I obviously like Tony a lot. The only thing that scares me with him is I think he was like pretty close to last in driving accuracy this week, and he really him struggling with the drivers, obviously not something I really want to see. So he was 60th in off the tee in the field last week and T63 in driving accuracy. Like you said, you're not really considering it that much. If the rough is more penal, maybe you'll change your mind, but I did notice that, when they were bringing up the landing zones and how it gets really skinny in some areas because of water, those numbers kind of, to me, looked like as if they weren't going to be playing in elevation. So maybe he can go beyond, trouble in certain, cause I mean, when he hits the ball, he hits it far. I think you can almost play yourself into trouble when you have more distance, but you can also play yourself out of trouble. So yeah, I could absolutely see that. I'm going to go a completely different direction as far as that type of golfer goes. And I'm going to go Russell Henley, favorite play this week. 9,100 on DraftKings, 40-1 to win on Bet365. That's no boost. That's just an enhanced win. He was a slight gainer across the board at the St. Jude, minus his around the green play. I've said this about Colin. I've said it last week about Denny. I'm going to say it again. Russell Henley typically is a very good around the green player. If he's doing other stuff well and he was struggling around the greens, I saw those guys hit a lot of chips. That Bermuda around the greens and Memphis was no joke. It was sticky stuff, and if you didn't catch it right, it was going to make you look stupid. I don't think that's going to be an issue this week. It's going to be a different setup. You're going to have much easier lies, in my opinion. Things are going to be a little fluffier around the greens. So I would say that anybody that struggled around the greens last week, especially if they're typically a good around the green player, they've got a good shot this week to get that corrected. I think his ownership might be down a little bit because he was priced up last week around 9,000. T30 finish. Some people are going to see that and think, and I know a lot of people were on him last week. I think he was one of the most tipped players. If we go back and look at our last week's video, I'm almost positive I said he was one of the most tipped. I think you're going to see a little bit of fall off on the ownership, and he's actually increased in price by $100 on DraftKings. And I think maybe it could be a potential leverage play, but also I feel pretty good about where his game's at. And I want to say he was very good off the tee last week.
Yeah, I think Russell Henley, I don't know how much I love it, but I will say that his ownership will be lowish. To start, it's going to be hard to get to the top of the board, like I've said a couple times now. That 9,000-ish range is going to be tough. And if we think that Wyndham Clark is going to take a ton of that ownership in that range because everybody's seeing that he's playing well now and he's from Colorado and all these things, well, then if they get to that range, they're going to end up clicking Wyndham Clark. They're not going to click Russell Henley.
Right. Coming
off of, like you said, he finished 30th. Nothing special. So, yeah, they're probably going to end up clicking Wyndham there. You got Billy Horschel's right there, too. Burns, who just played well. Yeah, I agree that he will be the least owned in that little bubble, I would think. Even in below him, Connors.
I'm honest. The more you say, the more I love this play.
Well, I just think as far as an ownership play, I think it is absolutely the correct play.
Yeah.
Now, will he be the best in that range? I don't know. But the ownership will say, yeah, this is the play.
21st off the tee last week, gaining 1.37 across the entire tournament. 28th in approach, gaining 0.7. T22 in putting. Driving accuracy, he was tied for 5th. This is tournament long, obviously.
I think if we get an interview from these guys this week and they say, dude, you better hit the fairway. Yeah. You better hit the freaking fairway or you're going to be toast, then Russell Henley, yeah, I love it because he is one of the most accurate guys and does other things well. And that could potentially get me more off of Tony. I guess we'll have to see what comes out. But, yeah, especially I love it, especially if they come out and they're like, dude, this rough is brutal. Then maybe I could.
I have a feeling they're not going to say that, but I'm still going to go with the play either way. But, yeah, I am curious to see what that's actually like there. And the VR headset just got this course on it. So I will be putting on my VR headset later and playing this course, and I'll report back to you.
I'm going to stay over here tonight. I want to play.
Yeah. That's what we'll do. We'll just do an entire, we'll stop this show. We'll start recording another one where we'll just cast the playthrough.
Perfect.
And we'll just talk about it.
That'd be great. I would much rather do that, honestly. All right. Let's go to winner.
Projected winner.
This is our new pick here. We normally do favorite play, which sometimes could be a winner, sometimes could just be a good DraftKings play or some sort of edge that we like. My winner is going to be Scotty Scheffler.
Mm-hmm.
Scotty Scheffler plus 350. Probably not going to get there to bet plus 350. I'm going to try my hardest to get him on my DraftKings lineups. Like I said, 12,300 he's a tough get this week, given that Xander Schauffele is 1,200 cheaper and also playing really, really well. But the thing about Scotty is he finished 4th. He looked like you could have convinced me that he was like down there with Rory with some of the motions and the way he was kind of just disgusted with some putts that weren't going in. It feels like he didn't really make anything until the final hole where he made like a 50-footer for birdie for no reason. But Scotty checks the board. Scotty Scheffler is first in par 5 birdie or better percentage. He is 6th in strokes gained approach, 175 to 200, and he is first in strokes gained approach last 24 rounds. He is that guy. And an extra edge that I really like about Scotty is we're taking all these guys, all the best golfers in the world here, and we're putting them on a course that I'm going to bet 90% of them have never seen. Give me the best golfer then. Give me the guy that's going to be able to figure it out. And at the end of the day, his distance control is the best in this field. We know that you're going to have to be really good with your distance control. You're not going to want to go over into some water or short into some water. And I mean, it's just insane. His strokes gain approach, he's last 24 rounds, he's .8 per round shots better than second, and that's Xander. I mean, he's a full shot better tee to green. That's insane. That's insane. So yeah, I'm gonna spend the money. I'm gonna get him on DraftKings and just say he's the best guy on a course that 90% of these guys probably haven't seen. So I'll take my chances that way. Probably won't get there plus 350, but Scotty Scheffler is gonna win this golf tournament.
You know, I can't argue with that at all.
It's not sexy.
It's not. And I think the only thing that could save us is
Tony Finau.
No. We saw what he did or what he had to deal with at Pinehurst. The littlest change in a typical run-in-the-mill golf course that these guys see all the time. Pinehurst is not that. My hope is that this, having all these elevation changes,
Your hope.
I don't want to pick Scotty. It's like you just said, you're not going to be betting him at plus 360 or plus 350, whatever that number is. It's going to be hard to get to him on DraftKings. Like, my hope is that he doesn't win this golf tournament.
And my hope is that there is enough suckers out there like you that think that way. That way his ownership on DraftKings isn't that high.
I'm still going to fit him in. Don't worry. That's what she said. But I really don't want him to win this tournament. I will be below the field on Scotty Scheffler. I don't know what his ownership will be. I would assume probably similar to last week. It'll probably be even more than last week, if we're honest.
Yeah, I don't have projected ownership yet, but yeah, I would believe, what was he last week? 30 something?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's probably going to be upper 30s, mid 30s. Unless there's enough guys like you that think, hell no, I ain't getting there because it's going to ruin my lineups. It's going to make me go way down the board. I don't want to go down to the board. I want to pick a ton of guys in that 9K range and put together a solid, like, middle of the road lineup. Give me Clark, Morikawa, Cantlay, Finau, like.
And you can. You're good. Honestly, his ownership might, just because of there is a ton of like 9K, and
you could put together a really solid lineup
we'll play around with some of that stuff later. But yeah, all right. Let's just talk about this now. So yeah, Scotty. Obviously, we can all see it. Like, that's just the reality. I'm gonna go with Hideki Matsuyama. Back to back. I think if you look at what he did, if you look at just like some of the stats, this dude took something that was a weakness and has been a considerable weakness in some of the major moments, or not like actual majors, but bigger moments that he's been in, especially this year, and he put together his best putting performance on the season.
He was first in putting this past week.
I'm seeing 2.25 on Data Golf. I don't know if that reads the exact same one.
I got 2.06 per round.
Okay, yeah.
Same.
So I just feel like there only a certain type of golfer you're not going to see. If you look at the past winners of the BMW Championship, you had Victor do it last year. He got hot at the end of the season. Cantlay the year before, and also the year before that, got hot towards the end of both seasons. Now, Cantlay, if you look at his 2022 victory, I think he finished like T57 in the St. Jude. But that level of golfer that Cantlay is, regardless of whether he finished in the previous tournament, he has the potential to be better than that. The same thing with like Rory this week. I could see Rory winning this week because, guys, he finished second to last to Homa. Like,
him and
Rory is still that type of golfer. Now his stat, I will not touch him this week. I just can't after what he did last week to me. But just in that same token, like, there's only a certain type of golfer that is going to win this tournament. You got 50 of the best golfers in the world at this moment, and I would say only less than 20 have actual win potential here. Maybe even less than 10. And Hideki's one of them.
Yeah, I could get on board with that. That's why I think that's why I picked Scotty, and that's why you're picking Hideki. Both, favorites. And that's another reason why I probably won't go with a super long shot. I think Tony is like maybe the last guy on the board in that range.
As far as what you would get to.
Yeah, that you think like, okay, this guy has a real chance to win this golf tournament. which makes me love his number even more. So, yeah, I can see Hideki. Yeah, he was good on everything basically. Around the green, he struggled a little bit, which is kind of shocking, but it was basically all from round 4 when he was in his meltdown phase. Yeah, putted amazingly. The one thing that's weird, and I don't know if you know this, but when he apparently he was like tinkering with putters.
Yeah,
going into the final round or
final
something?
round, he I think maybe had a different putter on the practice green,
Yeah, he was like
and then
trying
put
two
his
different
other
putters.
one back in the bag.
Like, huh? What? I don't know what the play there is. I don't know why you would be leading the field in strokes gained putting and go, what let's try this putter to see what works.
Maybe it was a distance. Maybe it
heard.
was a distance control thing because I
Maybe.
know at one point I switched putters because I was having trouble. Like it was a lighter blade style putter, and I wanted something with more weight because I was having trouble with the distance control. And if you're going into a final round leading by 5 shots, and you're maybe for whatever reason feeling like, yeah, I can make these putts, but I'm feeling like I can't 2-putt because I'm having a tough time. Maybe, I mean, that's the only logical thing I could think of.
But the stats would still say that he was putting the best in the field.
Yeah.
So it's not like it was like something was going on. I don't know.
Right, but if you make a bomb, I mean, and he did make a couple, like, what does that do to your strokes gained putting? That gives you a huge bump. He did 3-putt on, I don't remember what hole it was, but it wasn't exactly the most difficult putt in the world. So yeah, that's the only thing I can think of. I don't know. He obviously didn't do it. So
as a Hideki Matsuyama backer, a bettor, if he shows up to the first tee and he's got a different putter, are you excited or you're concerned? I'd be concerned. I'd be like, dude, you just had your best putting like rounds of your career. You just led the field, gaining over 2.
But Hideki he's one of those golfers that it's never just a bet on him. Something always happens. Like something always happens to him. Like him and his caddy getting robbed before this tournament started. Like
apparently he's gonna have his caddy back, by the way.
Well,
this week.
And that maybe
he's gonna have his guy.
I think that makes me feel even better about it.
Well, here's why I don't like it. He's not going to do that again putting wise. He's getting completely different greens here. He was on Bermuda grass greens. These are POA/bent grass greens.
Well, where do you think he won earlier this year?
I'm just saying it's a completely different thing.
Actually,
here.
It doesn't matter what you think. Where did he win earlier this year?
He's tinkering with putters. He's
too expensive at Riviera,
on DraftKings.
Bent grass POA mix.
Well,
so
you don't like Scotty. I don't like Hideki.
I don't like Scotty because he sucks.
Yeah, that's not the case.
All right. Let's see. What are we at now?
My DK value
play.
All right. My DK value play this week is Tom Hoge.
Holy shit. So is mine.
Tom Hoge. Do you know Tom Hoge was born in Statesville, North Carolina?
I did not know that, actually.
I didn't know that either. I was looking, like I told you, my little edge there on Tony. I was looking for some elevation golfers. Didn't find any really, but I found that Tom Hoge's from Statesville, North Carolina, which was kind of shocking.
Yeah, I didn't know that at all, actually.
He went to TCU, which is also just kind of weird. Tom Hoge, 6,400 on DraftKings, 110 to 1 to win this golf tournament. I don't think I'll get there, but you never know.
Well, that's a big number.
It is a big number, but he's also,
it's like, well, the only thing about those long shots is, like I said, this week, it seems like there's only a certain type of golfer that can win. Obviously you're adding a different variance to it with this style of course. And I think that's the only thing that I'll be considering if I'm decide to bet some of these long shots.
We'll see. I'll probably just go maybe heavier on DraftKings and just put them on my laps or something, do it that way. But Tom Hoge is a very good iron player. As we know, he's a very good distance control guy, which I believe it to be a very important stat this week. He's also 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th. He's 9th in this field in par 5 birdie or better percentage. And he is 15th in strokes gained approach, 175 to 200. And he is tied for 4th in strokes gained approach last 24 rounds. Tom Hoge, great value. He was okay last week. He didn't really do anything amazing. I think he shot a couple under final day. He shot 4 under in his final round.
He played beautifully in the final round.
Let's pull it up.
Pull it up.
What it looks like. Didn't even putt well. He lost half a shot putting on the round. But TD Green, he gained 3.24.
Yeah, that's what I saw.
Which is a great number. I actually didn't even know that. I was just looking at last 24 round approach stuff because I believe that to be super important this week. Let's see where that put him for the day. That was 5th, TD Green. Yeah, Tom Hoagie. I think he's too cheap here. I think he's too cheap for a guy that flushes it. Give me a guy who flushes the ball at a course where distance control is going to be very important. And yeah, mainly for me, like it's a DK value play for a reason. And 6,400 here, just you got 6,400 Tom Hoagie. You got 6,400 Max Homa.
Yeah, I'm taking Tom Hoagie all day.
All day long. I hope there's a matchup or something like that.
There probably is.
Maybe I'll do that. Yeah. But yeah, Tom Hoagie for me, hitting the ball fine. No real concerns for me. Played okay last week. And yeah, I mean, the approach numbers speak for themselves. To be tied for 4th in this field, strokes gained approach last 24 rounds, really jumps off the page for me for a guy who's at the bottom of the board on DraftKings.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have much more to say. I do know that. So this is a Nicklaus course design, and it's going to be tough to kind of find comparisons. But where they play the Barracuda now is Tahoe Country Club or something. It's like 5,500 as far as the elevation. Where they played prior to 2022 is like Montreux. I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's a Nicklaus course design at high elevation with elevation changes. And that's where they played the Barracuda Championship. Now, the only thing about that tournament is obviously the field is much weaker, so it's kind of hard to determine. You're not going to see a lot of these other high-end golfers in this tournament that have played there. But Tom Hoagie has played there. He played there one time, and he finished 6th place in 2019. So
that reminds me, isn't the Mexico Open at elevation?
So that's another course. That's Club de something.
Well, you know who's dominated that? Tony Finau.
Has he? No. Mexico Open is Vedanta. That's a different. The WGC Mexico Championship is played at 7,800 feet.
Okay.
And there's a lot of names that have done well there, but they're not particularly in this. I think.
Okay.
Let's actually pull that up. But yeah, Tom Hoagie is gonna be a staple play for me in this tournament.
If you want to get to the top of the board, which I do, obviously with Scotty and Tony and maybe some Cantlay and these guys, you're gonna have to get down here, towards the bottom. And Tom Hoagie for me, 6,400. He's probably gonna end up on way too much of my lineups, but I'll take a chance on a guy that I know at least is gonna hit his irons well more often than not. Yeah. So.
Yeah, 2020 WGC Mexico Championship. Like I said, it's Club de Golf something. I can't see the rest of the name. It's CHAPU something. So yeah, 7,800 feet is the elevation, and Patrick Reed won.
Fat Reed.
Matsuyama T6, McIlroy 5th, Justin Thomas T6, Horschel T9, Xander T14. Trying to see it. Scheffler T26. So maybe Scheffler's not so good once you get him up high.
Yeah, clip that.
Yeah. I don't know, Ted. You told me it was 150 yards and it went over the moon. Yeah. That's what you're going to be seeing all week. You saw a flustered
speed this week to Michael.
True.
Michael. You gave me the 8-iron. Michael.
I mean, you saw a frustrated Scheffler last week in a course style that does fit him very well. What's going to happen when he's sending balls over the green?
He's fine. I think that this course style fits him well. I don't think this is going to be a problem for him at all.
I guess we'll see.
Yeah, we will.
No, I'll have a little bit of Scheffler, but all right, there's the board. It's a little different this week, but yeah, I think this is going to be a fun tournament to watch. I feel like.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's something a little new, which hey, I'm all for that.
Yeah. So let's go kind of down the list here. We can touch on guys that we haven't talked about. Let's see. Well, I mean, we can start at the top, I guess. What are you doing with Xander? You've already talked about Scotty. He's the most expensive at 12.3.
So I'm obviously playing Scotty, but he is, way more priced than everybody else, basically. Xander next in line, 11,100. It's tricky because, like we've said, he's he is almost, he is almost right there with Scotty. He's
Right.
not quite, but if you include the putting, then he is there with Scotty. If you include the putting, putting is a part of the game, so obviously you kind of need to include it. But I don't know, maybe a little bit, but probably under the field. Yeah, maybe if I start building it, I'll get to Xander if I start to build with Scotty, and I get down to like that last like one or two guys, and it just doesn't quite work. And I'm like, damn, I wonder if I take Scotty, move it to Xander, does it work? And it probably will work. So that'll be where I get to Xander. Probably end up underweight on him. I don't know what his percentage will be, but I'd say he should be pretty expensive. Honestly, he's playing good golf. He'll probably be maybe upper 20s would be my guess. Maybe 28, something like that.
Well, you saw last week, the narrative before the tournament was that he's never played well. It was like one of his worst strokes gained courses and yada yada, and look what he did. I mean, he's obviously in a different mode right now. He's on a different level than he has been in the past, and I'm assuming he can get it done anywhere. So, yeah, I feel like Xander will have some ownership because of his ability to kind of show that he can do it at a place he's never done it before. So.
Yeah, I think people will get there, and I have no reason to believe that he won't play well. But you're going to have to make a decision at the top. You can't pick Scotty and Xander, right?
Mm-mm.
Check that math. No way? I wouldn't think so.
Scotty and Xander puts you 66.50.
So technically you can do it.
So then you could throw
in Hoagie
in there, 67.30. You got Zalatoris at 68. Dunlap at 69.
Okay, so you definitely can do it. That's kind of an interesting build there.
I'll tell you what, you throw Poston in at 6,100 and you're cooking with gas, my guy.
I think I might have to do that now that we've talked that through, and it's possible I might have to explore that avenue. That's interesting. Okay. And that's that's part of this DraftKings stuff, guys, is that you want to be a little different. I think a different lineup for sure will be Scotty Xander, because most people are going to hate what they're going to get up at the bottom of the board. But if we feel like Tom Hoagie can get a top 10 or something like that, you never know. You throw in Poston, or I kind of like Jaeger at the bottom of the board, to be honest. I got no issues with Dunlap. Zal obviously has spike potential. Yeah, it's obviously can be possible. Cole is another one. Cole's playing well. He had a great round 4. Yeah, I'm interested to know that it's possible.
You weren't expecting that, were you?
No, I didn't think it was possible, but I'm glad that we did that. I'm glad that now that I know, I will look into that. A guy that I won't have is next in line is Rory. I can't see him be so bad after being on him, picking so much of him, and see him be so bad and then think, you know what? Let's go ahead and throw some more money down on him.
Yeah, no, he was my favorite play last week. So
I thought he had a great chance along with Kawa and Aubert, and they all pretty much blew it.
So are you going to have any of them?
Probably not.
Okay.
And that could be a terrible decision, but probably not. I didn't see enough. If I get to any of them, it might be Morikawa. Aubert looks like tired. Yeah, he looks tired. I don't know.
I think he's having just not like.
And that's an interesting
He's
take.
not used to playing this much, I don't think.
And that's an interesting thought to have, because a lot of these guys we're playing a lot of golf. These guys that played in the Olympics, and there's a lot of travel involved, and there's a lot of golf involved. So you could see some burnout from some of these guys, and maybe that kind of leans me towards guys that didn't play in the Olympics that maybe have a little more juice left, like Finau. But that could just be that could be nothing. You never know. But yeah, he does look tired for sure. But we'll see. But yeah, I could maybe get to Morikawa, but I won't get to Rory. Won't get to Aubert.
All right. I mean, there's a couple other guys here in the 9K. We talked about Cantlay already, and I won't touch on that.
What about I think an interesting one that we need to talk about is Hovland.
Ooh.
He is.
It's like I said at the beginning of the show.
Priced up now, big time, 10,400. He's right back up there with the big boys, like nothing happened. Played well, obviously last week. Had a chance to win the golf tournament. If you look at his approach now. He is now gaining. We talked about how he wasn't gaining in his last maybe 36 or something like that. But if you go last 24 rounds on Victor Hovland now, he's gaining 0.42, which, to put that in perspective, Rory's gaining 0.32. Matsuyama's gaining 0.53. So he's kind of in line with guys that we think are kind of okay. The scary thing with Victor is he's losing 0.63 around the greens. So if the irons aren't like really good, and he has to scramble, it's trouble.
Yeah.
Off the tee, it's still fantastic. He's actually one of the best in this field off the tee, both in distance and accuracy. But I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, I'll be lying if I just like Victor as like I like him. So putting him on a team is a lot easier than putting somebody that I don't like on a team. Especially, with him showing at least some sign of life, but I'm not ready to just be like, oh my God, he's gonna do. I mean, we saw him get hot last season, but he had shown us so much more coming into it, as far as the types of finishes he was having on a regular basis. But yeah, I mean, like the Nicklaus design thing, he's obviously done well at Nicklaus courses, and I'm gonna be underweight. I know I will, but I'll definitely have at least a sprinkle of Victor Hovland on a lineup or two, but nothing outrageous.
Yeah, I won't be getting there. I'm not a big Victor guy in general. If I see some more form, then I could obviously get there. But for now, kind of seeing one round, I kind of went round by round there while you were talking, and he lost on approach in round 1, but then gained in round 2. Gained massively in round 3, and then gained a little bit round 4. The thing that concerns me is he lost around the green big time in rounds 3 and 4, and gained putting almost every day. So a lot of it, well, not in round 1, but a lot of it was putting, and I don't know that I'm going to try and rely on Victor Hovland, who's been very up and down, and then say, well, he's going to putt well too. I think that's asking a lot at this price. He's a career okay putter. He's not a great putter. He's not a bad putter, but he was one of the better putters last week, getting a different greens here, getting a different scenario. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I can get there, and it's mostly based on his price. It's not really based on his play, although that's definitely part of it. But if I compare him to other guys at the top of the board, I just won't be getting there. I just can't do it.
What are you doing with Fleetwood? We saw what Fleetwood did, tee to green, ball striking, all that.
Fleetwood is an interesting one because
horrible putter. Because that's
he had
normally our
career,
profile.
Yeah, he had a career approach week. He was fantastic. A career tee to green. He was number 1 tee to green average for the week, gaining 2.46, and then he had a career bad putting week, losing about 2 shots per round on the greens. Ends up finishing 22nd. I don't know, man. I mean, as far as a profile that we like, he fits it pretty well.
Yep. I just don't know. He's not going to replicate a career ball striking tournament.
Here's the concern. Yeah. Here's the concern. We're starting to lose consistently putting. It's not a one-off. In his last 24 rounds, he's losing strokes putting. He's losing, not a big amount, but 0.04 in his last 24 rounds putting. That's not his normal. If we go last 50 rounds, Tommy Fleetwood, if it'll load, Tommy Fleetwood gains, 0.2 per round. But we're trending down with the putter.
Yeah.
It's not just a one-off, like he just had a bad week putting. We're starting to see a trend. That'd be a guy I'd love to see switch putters. Like if he came out in an interview and was like, yeah, I'm going to a different one this week. I really like the way that the new whatever looks like in my hand. That would be exciting for me. That would maybe be like, okay, at least we're trying something different. Last 24 rounds, we're losing almost every day on the greens, because his approach and everything else is fantastic. His price is, steep. And another problem that I'm going to have getting to him is I really like Tony Finau and Patrick Cantlay, who are right there priced with him. So if I'm picking those guys, there's no way I can get to Fleetwood at the same time. So I would almost have to like not pick Cantlay or Finau to get to Fleetwood. So to give you an honest answer, no, I won't be getting there with Fleetwood.
I don't believe in Burns.
No, Burns, every time I looked up, it looked like Burns was making like a 30-footer. I don't see that happening.
He's Bermuda Burns.
Old Bermuda Burns was locked in on the greens.
Horschel,
last 24 rounds, Burns is losing off the tee and on approach.
Yeah, I just don't believe in him. So, and he just falls apart way too easily.
Priced up here too.
Yeah. Horschel's kind of hard to ignore what he's done over the last 3 tournaments, but I'd probably
gaining across the board, off the tee, approach, around the greens, and putting. Yeah, I don't know, man.
I'm gonna be all over Henley in this price range. So
he's playing some good golf right now,
Yeah.
that's for sure. Looks confident too. We're getting some great results.
his little stutter step up to his putts, though, if I happen to see that one more time, I'm gonna lose it.
Last 3 tournaments for him: 2nd, 7th, 10th. So he's definitely playing some good golf now. Yeah, tricky for me just based on his price, but I will probably have some. I will try and make it work, but we'll see.
Here's a question.
It's right there with Wyndham Clark too, which will also help his ownership, because I do believe Wyndham will be the most owned in this range, but Billy might be second most owned too. So we'll see.
If you had to choose a tick or like a habit that you had to have, you could not get rid of, would it be the Brian Harman waggles or the Billy Horschel stutter putt step? The stutter putter. You got to have one, and you can't get rid of it. Which one are you taking?
Maybe the waggles, but Billy Horschel's gaining 0.41 putting his last 24 rounds, where Brian Harman is
He's losing on approach, I'm pretty sure.
is 0.28 gaining on approach his last 24 rounds. So the stats would tell you that last 24 rounds, you would rather have Billy's putting than Brian's irons. Although I guess he does it on the tee box.
But
too.
we can agree that it's terrible, right? I mean,
it's bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's bad. But I think the waggle is more common too.
Oh,
Like, as far
100%.
as,
He
like,
just does it so much.
Waggle,
Yeah.
waggle. Get
Yeah.
comfortable, get comfortable. You know who's another one that's tough to watch sometimes is Patrick Cantlay on the greens.
Oh, yeah. No.
He does his little feet, and he just like step, 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 step. Just like tiny little baby steps to like try and get his feet just perfect, and then he finally putts.
Yeah, he's pretty tough to watch in general for multiple reasons. But yeah, like I said, I'll probably have so much of Henley that a lot of the guys in this range I won't even.
Yeah, if you go to the top of the board and then Henley's your second guy on your team, you're gonna have a tough time getting back up here again. So
Connors isn't a winner to me. Justin Thomas is interesting at 8,800. Don't know what the industry's going to do with him.
yeah, so real quick on Justin Thomas, he rates out pretty well for me as far as my stats this week. He is 13th in par 5 birdie or better percentage. He is 7th in driving distance, and he is 9th in strokes gained approach, 175 to 200.
Hasn't put a full tournament together recently.
That's the problem with him. Yeah, he's really close. We've seen a lot of round 1 leaders out of him. We know the potential is there, but he hasn't quite put it together. Maybe this is the tournament where he can do it. The one thing I will say is he's 8,800. It ain't like he's Hovland and he's 10,400. You know, he's 8,800. You can get to this range. We'll see. I will definitely have some. We'll see how much, but I prefer him over guys in this range for sure.
Connors, Thigala.
Yeah, maybe I do like Rye.
Rye's
I
interesting.
do like Rye. He had a very good profile, that like one that we like. It was very similar to Fleetwood's, where he was gaining on approach, losing putting.
I think the biggest issue with that is that he's flip-flopped. So he was doing everything else right and couldn't putt. Then he kind of started to straighten out the putting and started losing the other stuff. Now he's back to doing everything else right and can't putt. I'm wondering if it'll kind of follow that trend. But
Yeah, good news is round 3, he just had like a terrible putting day, which kind of ruined his average. He lost 3 shots on the greens in round 3, and then actually gained slightly in round 4. So it was more of a one-off than like a consistent, like
just like one really bad round versus like losing every day.
Losing every day like Fleetwood, honestly. Like it was a little bit different of a profile. So I'm not as concerned.
All right, well, I don't want to talk about everybody, but I think it's important that we talk about this person. Nick Dunlap.
Yeah, Nick Dunlap, he's another guy that rates out really well for me. He is second in this field in par 5 birdie or better percentage. He is 15th in this field in driving distance, and he is 14th in this field strokes gained approach last 24 rounds. 6,900. The only thing, I love the price. The only thing that does concern me about him is we've seen him putt much better on Bermuda. He's not going to get Bermuda this time. And he's 20 years old. So we've seen him throughout this year, and it kind of gets lost, and people get caught up into the recency bias. But it does get lost that this guy also had like good tournaments early on and then would just bomb the next tournament. Like that's still in him because he's still a 20-year-old kid. He should have been playing in the US Am that was going on this past week. But instead he was here because he is really good. He's a very good golfer. But the floor for him scares me. But again, we're talking about a $6,900 golfer, not an 8,000 something. So
yeah,
I do think his price is probably off, but his floor compared to other guys does scare me a bit.
Well, you saw him win the Barracuda, and like I told you, that tournament is played at Lake Tahoe something. That's the course, and it is like a 5,500 elevation course. So if you're looking at that kind of thing to compare people's ability to deal with the elevation, there's something there for that.
Another thing to be said about him is he will probably be very popular this week.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So that's another strike against him. But again, he's cheap, so I understand it. You're probably going to have to get down here, for a couple guys. So I get it, but he will be popular. He might be the most popular, I would say the most popular $6,000 golfer.
Not touching Max Homa. He's broken, like you said.
Yeah, can't get there. We're losing across the board last 24 rounds.
What's crazy is like his first round 1 and round 2, like he was like 2 under at one point through 9 through the front, and then he just folded on
That's
round 1. And then the same thing happened in round 2. Like he wasn't that bad.
He's holding on for dear life.
Yeah.
What it is. He's like me or you when we're even through 8 holes or something. We're just holding on for dear life. We're like, let's get this thing to the clubhouse, man.
Yeah, back
and then
it up.
Just one drive, and it's just like, it's over.
Yep.
I mean, he is.
He basically is like an amateur golfer right now. Like when one thing goes wrong, I mean, it's like when we play with our buddies and like one thing goes wrong for me or for you, and it's like it's gonna affect us for quite some time.
you start playing good, you're feeling good, you're like, damn, I'm even right now, I'm playing good, and then there's one drive, and next thing you know, you shoot a bad score. So he's losing big time, especially off the tee, which like I'm pretty sure wasn't like his driving accuracy and off the tee stuff.
At one point,
like,
he was like
one
the
of his
off the tee guy
attributes.
Yep.
Very concerning. I hope that this is probably the end of the road for him this year, unless he kind of shocks us. What is he in the standings actually? Let's see. Because he was like 3rd in the Masters earlier.
He's higher than you think, actually.
He's 43rd. So
that's right. He moved quite a bit.
43rd. So he's going to have to play well here to move inside that top 30. Top 30, by the way, I don't think we've mentioned top 30. Move on to the Tour Championship. That would be next week. There's a lot of guys, trying to battle for that 30th spot. some good golfers outside of it right now. So we shall see. It's a tournament within the tournament.
Yeah, and there are factors to consider. I mean, you got guys right there on that bubble of the 30 mark. Zalatoris is there at 37, Poston at 34. I will probably have a little bit of both. One guy that I will have probably above the field on. I don't know how many people are going to pick him, but I don't know if you saw Cameron Davis play his final round, but this guy was inside of the top 50 and then pretty cozy inside, and then double bogeyed 18 after he hit his approach shot in the water. And then he took a drop, hit it to probably 13, 14 feet and missed the putt.
He pulled a Tom Kim, but like not as bad as Tom Kim.
And now he's 49th. So I'm pretty sure at one point after that happened, after he finished the round, they interviewed him and he was like, I hit a bad shot on my second shot on 18. Like, I can't do that. I cannot put that in the water, whatever. I'm almost positive he thought he wasn't in. I think he thought he was out at that point. Tom Kim and a couple other people down the stretch sort of self-implode, and then he gets in. To me, like, I don't know about you, but like if that happened to me, I'd be like, all right, well, I didn't even think I was gonna be here. It's gonna free him up a little bit. Cam Davis has shown some signs of ability to deal with some of the elevation, and I think he's a better golfer than some of the. He's 6,200. You're
gonna have to make a case
Yeah.
for some of these guys down here at the bottom, and so
if I'm going with Scotty, I will also have Cam Davis on that squad.
Okay.
I think it'll help me balance. It'll be an easier build, and they refer to this is like Augusta in the Midwest. Is it Colorado Midwest?
Yeah.
Yeah. They call this. I was just trying to remember if that's what they were. And I remember when I watched the flyer over this course, I was like, God, this looks like Augusta. Like it is
very green.
Yeah.
It's much greener than
it's inspired, and it's inspired by Augusta. A lot of the holes are inspired by it, and that was like
there's a lot of like creeks and trees, and it's very green, and
it's artificial
flowers.
looking, which is what Augusta looks like.
Yeah.
And guess what? Cameron Davis finished 12th in the Masters this year, so maybe he goes there and he sees some like
Max Homa finished 3rd, so I don't see that happening.
Well, Max Homa was also broken his shit,
so I guess we'll see.
He hasn't done anything in I don't know how long. But.
Your Masters comp. Well, guess who won the Masters, bud? There you go.
There you go. I'm not saying that it's not. It doesn't mean anything, but yeah. All right. Well, that's all I got. You got anything else?
You want to build one? Let's build one.
Yeah. You want to build like a back and forth lineup?
Yeah. Let's build. Me and you will build one.
All right. Let's see here. I put mine in last week. I don't know if you did that.
I think I did as well. Didn't win, right? I didn't have a lot that won, so
it did not.
If it did, it was one of the few.
I also went first last week, so you get to go first this week.
Oh, buddy. Give me Scotty Scheffler.
Hoagie.
Yeah.
The Hoagmeister.
It's probably how I'm going to start a lot of lineups, honestly. Put you at 7,825.
Don't mess this up.
I'm going to go Tony Finau.
Well, you messed it up already.
Brings you down to 7,200. They got a Q tag on Denny this week.
Yeah, he's got a torn left labrum that apparently he played through. So
I think
he's fine.
Yeah,
he's fine. All right, so I'm looking to see what this is gonna do to you if I do it. Oof. I really want to. I really, really want to. Justin Thomas.
Well, we got no money left now. 6,400 left. Let's go down here digging.
Just do it.
Give me Jaeger.
Oh my God, what the fuck?
Which is 6,800. Zhao, Siwoo, Detry, Cole, Homa. I think you have to. I mean, it's your call, but I think you have to. Let's look at what he did, just for confirmation.
You put me in a really bad spot.
Maybe not though. Yeah, I mean he was fine. I think that's the play. He gained across the board average at St. Jude.
Will Zalatoris?
Yeah.
Okay. There it is. Psst, can't believe you picked Jaeger.
Who did you want me to pick?
Poston.
I would have put you in the same spot. Except, no, you wouldn't have been able to get Zal.
Right.
It'd have put you at Siwoo.
No, I don't want Siwoo. I probably would have taken Cole at that point.
Okay. And I wouldn't have hated that.
All right, there's the lineup. Let's see how they do. I'm going to put it in the...
I think that's a pretty solid
I'm going to put it in
lineup.
a contest that's going to win me a big prize if I get first place.
Scotty, Finau, JT, Zalatoris, Hoagie, Jaeger.
Perfect. That's the card for this week. Well, not even a card, but board/picks. If you like the video, make sure you actually like the video, comment, and subscribe to the YouTube channel if you're watching on YouTube, obviously. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Music, make sure you like the show and rate the show on both. Yeah, and if you are new to sports betting, you can check out the link in the description, get access to all the bonus bets and deposit matches across various sports books. We're going to have a good week this week. I can feel it.
Playoffs.
We're going to have a good week.
I think so too. If nothing else, we're due after last week. We had some good picks last week, but we were not good at the top of the board.
Our DK value
At least I
picks
wasn't.
could have won somebody some serious money if they paired it.
Oh my God.
with
If
the
we
right-
would have kind of combined my and your picks a little bit, it could have been a potential really good squad. I mean, you throw Clark, Matsuyama, Denny, Billy Ho.
Oh, we could have done some damage.
I did mention like I was going to get the Scotties, but just when we wasted money on Aubert,
and
Rory,
yeah.
and Morikawa for me, that was the end of it. It
Yep.
didn't matter what you did the rest of the team. You were in trouble. You
Yeah.
spent your money in the wrong spot. So it's all right. Hopefully we get the top of the board right and cash out this week.
All right. Well, stay tuned for the playthrough of Castle Pine Country Club on the VR headset. We'll see you guys. We'll see you guys next week.